The purest form of a grand tourer takes shape when the high-performance attributes of a sports car are meshed with the luxury and practicality of a comfortable saloon. That is exactly what Mercedes-AMG have done with their brand new AMG GT 4-door coupe. This car is one of the most beautiful 4-door GT cars on the planet, and despite the name and style, the car is not based on the flagship sports car, but rather on the E and CLS class. Still, the GT 4-door coupe embodies the design philosophy of AMG. It's sensual, has striking attributes, and an athletic stance on the road that will leave everyone spellbound when it races by. Now, of course, the AMG GT 4-door coupe gets a beautiful design, body language, and it's aerodynamically absolutely brilliant on the road. We are driving it in Mumbai, and in India, the only variant is the 63S, which is fully loaded with all the goodies. But at the core of this car is the beautiful 4-liter Biturbo V8 engine that gives you about 630 brake horsepower and 900 Nm of torque. Now that is absolutely ridiculous amounts of power that you would require in a city like Mumbai or even driving anywhere in India for that matter. But don't forget, this now is the most powerful AMG that Mercedes has ever built, and it's absolutely a beast. Let's also not forget this is a grand touring vehicle. So its best performance will obviously be felt when you're driving at high speeds on a nice, straight, smooth surface. So these cars are more or less made for European countryside touring, but nonetheless, this car comes fully loaded with so many different features. It's a complete driver-centric vehicle, even though it's a 4-door, 4-seater. It's absolutely insane the amount of customizations you can do with the performance of this car, with the way you can set up the engine, the transmission, the suspension. I mean, it's got rear locking differentials, it's got electronic air suspension, it's got everything you could imagine to make this car drive like a monster. It's got all that Mercedes-AMG motorsport DNA that's been brought over, and this really is a ruthless performance car. Definitely, you can feel that from the engine. It can sprint from 0 to 100 in about 3.3 seconds. And just to give you an example, about how fast that is, I was driving the Lamborghini Huracan Evo rear-wheel drive on the same road last week, and that car goes from 0 to 100 in about 3.3 seconds, which is exactly identical to this car. So this is a 2-ton grand touring 4-door coupe, and it goes just as blazingly quick as a Lamborghini. And then you've got all these different driving modes. You've got slippery, you've got individual, comfort, Sport Plus, and then you got Race, of course, which is the one you want when you're going on the track. And there's also an added mode called Drift Mode, which sends power only to the rear wheels, which is for pro drivers who want to get that awesome drift sensation on the racetrack, hopefully not on public roads. But anyways, here we are on a nice stretch of road, and we're going to put this car from comfort into Sport Plus so we don't get too crazy here. And we'll do a rolling start from 3rd gear. Wow, my God, that is amazing power delivery, absolutely instantaneous. It's mind-blowing how fast this car goes, considering that it weighs 2 tons, and all that massive power needs to be sent properly and efficiently to the wheels, and it's done through a very, very nice AMG transmission, a 9-speed transmission that really is fantastic. It's instantaneously, almost effortless gear shifts when it's in auto mode, and with the paddle shifters, really it's like an instant. It's beautiful. The car feels, sounds, and drives beautifully on a smooth, straight road. Even thanks to the awesome suspension setup that it's got on the chassis, and it corners and handles brilliantly as well. High-speed cornering, the car stays flat all the time. You don't feel any roll whatsoever. It's so well planted to the ground. It does have some awesome motorsport lineage coming from AMG as well. And you can feel all the motorsport DNA in this vehicle, starting from the awesome steering wheel. It's amazing. I've always loved the steering wheels on these Mercedes-AMG cars. On the steering wheel, it also gets these very intuitive functional buttons for the driver to switch and toggle between all the controls of your car. All the information you need is displayed beautifully on this massive, large display, dual display unit on the dashboard. You've got carbon fiber elements everywhere, amazing fit and finish feel, awesome leather. And then, of course, this is a 4-seater, not a 2-seater. There's actually plenty of headroom, shoulder room. I'm very surprised with the amount of room that's in the car. Even though it's got that coupe design, it's still a very comfortable car in the front. And everything about this car is just oozing out luxury. It's a very premium, amazing, comfortable fit and finish. The nice sculpted seats, which you can even adjust to your body type. It keeps you nice and snug when you're driving. It's absolutely amazing, this vehicle. I have to say, every detail that Mercedes-AMG has done with this vehicle is mind-blowing. What they've also done now to make it more driver-focused and driver-centric is they've put this nice center console in the middle that has the same transmission from the AMG GT, but this one over here has got all sorts of buttons for you to adjust the transmission, the driving mode, the suspension, your traction control, anything you could imagine. And of course, this is a very long wheelbase car for a sports car, but it does have the axle that steers as well, the rear axle that steers as well. So if you're going 100 kilometers an hour or less, the rear axle counter steers to the front wheels so that you get that short wheelbase feel from a car. And when you're going over 100 kilometers an hour, then the rear axle steers the rear tires in the same direction as the front tires, and that makes it feel like a much more long wheelbase vehicle, well planted on the road, smooth at high speeds, and just amazing. The downside of all this amazing motorsport technology is that when you're driving, even in comfort mode in a city like Mumbai where the roads are very bumpy, you can feel almost every adulation and uneven road surface. So it is loud also in the cabin when you're going over bad surfaces. So even in comfort mode, it's not the most comfortable ride when you're going at slow speeds. This car is a Grand Tourer, and Grand Tourers are essentially meant to be comfortable and very fast and very well planted on a highway. Driving in a city that has very bad roads is not where this car is ideally supposed to be driven. It's supposed to be driven by somebody who wants to go on a long road trip and cross continents in a beautiful sports car that's comfortable and luxurious and practical as well, because you have to carry luggage. So this car ticks all those boxes for a Grand Tourer. It's absolutely amazing. Now, the fact of the matter is that this car is an absolute beast to drive. It handles so well, and of course, it's got all that AMG performance to go with it. Plus, the upside is it looks fantastic. The sad part, though, is that Grand Touring cars aren't the best for Indian road conditions. We don't have the infrastructure yet set up for long-distance cross-country touring in fantastic cars like this. You can't use the power to its full potential. Well, that's okay. If you still have rupees 2.2 crore to spend, there are a lot of other options to go for in this segment. Well, you obviously have the Audi RS7 Sportback, and then of course you've got the Porsche Panamera, which is the reason why this car exists in the first place. If you want to go a little bit more upmarket, you can go for the Ferrari GTC for Lusso, and then of course my personal favorite, the Bentley Continental GT.